Hello, this is a video for the window framework for UI Toolkit. In this video, I will be showing you how to add custom context menus to pretty much any visual element that you want to create. Now, first things first, we have moved all documentation onto our website, which is now publicly available. So if you're considering the asset, I encourage you to check it out. We have everything broken down here on the website, which you can see, and you can watch the other videos that we have. Make sure it's going to suit your needs. I truly hope it will. Now, in the previous video, if you remember, we had created basic UI, a couple buttons to launch two different windows, a custom window with memory and the settings window, which is also included in the standard demo the standard demo that was shipped with the asset. You may also notice that, or it should be noted that I have included all of the source code for the different videos that we've been using here on the channel. So they're now included with the asset, so you can refer to them at any time, look at the examples, etc. But yeah, if you remember, we have our window here. This window is loading. In the previous video, we loaded a UXML document created in UI Builder, which contained a basic label and a slider. Now, all windows have a context menu, which is shown here. This is the standard one for all window frames, so that you have a way to lock and close and do the different options that are built into the window frame. And those are just automatically built in. But they can be modified, which is what we're going to show you today. Now, if we come here to the source code, you'll see, you remember we created the window. I've added more comments to the system so you can look at it. What we're going to be doing here is changing the context menu configuration for the window frame. I've written a small method here that'll show you the basic example. It simply returns the context menu config, which was also factored from window frame context menu config down to just context menu config. Make it a little more generic because it's later in the video I'm going to show you how to attach it to an inventory slot, and it just seems it's easier. So anyways, we create the new context menu config. And if you notice in here, these are the default items that are also included in the documentation on the website. But this is the default logic that is included in every window. Now, why am I including that here in our new config? Well, it's to make the context menu itself more portable. We debated on whether or not we should auto-include these, but then the matter of what order do you want them in, there's a lot of other complications that come up with it. So if you're changing the context menu on the window frame itself, just copy and paste this boilerplate back in. That way it works properly. Now in these you see you have your label, which is what it shows on the menu, the function to perform once they click it, and a Boolean value for is visible or not. Now this one is looking for can it be locked and is it currently locked or not, etc. So you can look at how that works, and that's how the standard menu works. So it's automatically set if you do not bother to set the context menu config parameter of the window frame. Now the new item we're going to add here is the quick access to the settings menu, just to show you how it would work. Same thing, settings. It is always visible, and it opens the settings window. Now, in order to enable this, all you have to do is during your window creation here, well, when you're setting your title and your default widths and etc., add your content, which is in this case like the previous video from the Create UXML content, and then set your config context menu config to the new context menu config item that you created. And now that that's enabled, let me save that. Switch back to Unity. And when we relaunch the project, you'll see that we now have a new menu item. So that's how you can change it on the menu itself, on the window itself. And you can see how this one has a different, has not been restricted. That's the standard. And you can see how this one has now a settings option, whereas that one did not. So, and you can access that from here, and it'll open the same thing. Okay. Now, in the next part of the video, what we're going to do is we're going to take that a little further, and I've written a small example of an inventory system that will allow you to display a small grid of inventory items. Let me just relaunch that real quick. I want to show you what you're going to get first, and then I'll show you the source code that makes it up, which is also in the same file. So if you see here now, when I relaunch it, we have a few inventory items here. And they each have specialized context menus. This one you can consume, drop, inspect. This one is a pickaxe, which can be dropped, inspect, equipped, or salvaged. This one is a satchel, which you can drop, inspect, or equip. Now, obviously, you can see how you can extend this to whatever you want. Open, whatever. You can add any item you want on there, and I'm going to show you how to do that here over in the source code. All right, so right here, here in our Create UXML content, I've at the bottom of it, and I've only done this to show you that it can be done. You would probably honestly want this to be up in here as your content, and assuming that you're using that window solely for inventory. But let's say you wanted a pre-made form that you included that you could do whatever sorting abilities of your inventory, whatever other features you wanted to add. You could then generate that UXML content like we did last time, and then just append your inventory slot or inventory wrapper container to it. And that's what I've done here, just to show you that it can be done. Okay. Now, the way that works is right down here. Well, first of all, let me show you. At the very bottom here, I created a basic standard C-class inventory item that has a name, an icon, salvageable, equipable, consumable. And all this class does is represent that data and then respond with text when the use item is clicked. Here I've created a basic list, which is just a populated list of those inventory items with some basic settings. So we have our consumable, we have our equipable, salvageable, and we have our equipable, and I've set their values to simulate data as you would have acquired it from whatever data source you're using for your particular project. Okay. Now, I also have created a custom context menu config for the inventory example. Now in this config, instead of just making a standard configuration like the window frame ones, right? Because it didn't need any extra parameters. This one we are passing in our inventory item data so that it can then use that data to adjust its menu options based on the needs of your particular project. All right? Now, once you return that configuration, well, you actually call that configuration while you're looping over your inventory display, like I have done here. We have our content example. We create a basic wrapper for the inventory slots that we're going to be passing back. I've done some inline styling here that you would normally want to do in your style sheet to keep it more portable for your project, but that was more than required for this demonstration. Okay, so leave that open so you can read it just in case you want to. Or again, like I said, it is available if you purchase the asset. It does come with all of the source code examples. I've also created a for loop here, and we're looping through each item in the inventory data. And when we do that, we're creating a slot for each item. And again, this slot has its own styling. It has a little border and some padding and some radius on it, etc., just to spruce it up a little. And the picking mode of position is important. Okay, so that is important because it helps for the calculations when it goes to render the context menu in the proper place. Now within this for loop, once you create your slot to hold your data and you have the information, you need to add the manipulator, which is a simple add manipulator, new context menu activator, which is a new manipulator that is included in the system now. And you pass in the configuration. In this case, we are building a configuration for each item in the loop. We are then setting that slot's background image to being a new style background using the icon that was provided within the loop. And then adding that to the outer slot container, which was the first wrapper that we created. It's always a good practice just to wrap all of your elements in visual element when you're working with visual elements and pass back a single item. It's just a good idea. It makes it much simpler to work with in the future when you expand. Okay, so we're now returning that slot container right back here to the inventory content example, which is added to the UXML content. Now again, it's very simple. And this is where the magic happens for the context menus. It's simply adding that activator, adding the manipulator as a new context menu activator using a given configuration, this one being based on the item. Now you can attach these to anything, really, this manipulator. Now it doesn't have to be this particular slot thing here. I mean, it can be just a standard UXML element, even if you wanted. For example, here on this label that we had found within our UXML content, it's not even created here. It's stored, or it was created in the UI Builder. We could very easily UXML label dot add manipulator new context menu activator and and pass in whatever configuration item you wanted to do here, even like create create context menu config, which is just a standard basic one there. So now, when we go back into the project, and I'll show you, this UXML text will get a new context menu manipulator, which it didn't have before, and that's just the nature of visual elements, the way they work. So let's switch back over to Unity, and you see it loading itself back up. And you see here we have our items as I showed you in the code, but we also now have a custom context menu on the label, which is different. See, as I am right clicking, and you can't really see that, but I am right clicking. And if you want to see that the item actually gets clicked, you can see here in the consume item was clicked in the menu, equip item was clicked in the menu, etc. And you can work with each one of your objects from there for whatever it could be. All right. I hope this video was helpful. I am going to continue this video series out. I have a little housekeeping to do and remaking a couple of previous videos, but I wanted to get this update out to you guys as soon as possible. Thank you for watching, and as always, if you have any problems, let us know on our website, garage-ware.com/support. Have a good day.